song, a book, and a dish.
On 702.
702 Drive, it's 5:45. We look forward to this each week. We spend time with somebody who you know, but you don't know everything about them. That's why we ask them specific questions about music that they particularly like. Maybe it's music and a song that has a story. We talk a little bit about food. We talk about books, and we talk about their lives and what they've done. My guest today has done a remarkable range of things. He's an actor. He's a comedian. He has produced works of theatre. He's produced things that have ended up on screens big and small. Welcome to 702 Drive to Sivuyile Ngesi. It's good to have you with us on the show.
Hey man, thanks for having me.
When did you first end up on a stage, and how did it go?
First day of school, I started school, and then there was a complaint that I was disruptive, out of order, and loud. And they wanted to put me on Ritalin. My mother was a teacher. She put me in speech and drama first Friday. And then my first official job was at 9 years old, traveling the world with Les Miserables as a kid.
Tell me, were you disruptive?
Yes, I was.
Why? Do you know?
Because I knew I was special and everyone else wasn't special. So I needed people to know how great I was.
And has that presumably shifted over your life, or do you still bang heads with people as you go about the process of creating?
The difference is I know now. Then I was just faking it to make it. No, I'm joking. I think now I'm all about truth and authenticity, and I try to be myself as much as possible without hurting people. But I definitely do butt heads with people here and there, and I think it's part of the creative process. And I think if he weren't butting heads with people, he wouldn't be creating noticeable work.
Let's go back to that. Getting on stage, touring around the world, Gavroche in Les Miserables. How did that come about? Did you have an agent by then?
No, I didn't. What happened is that I was walking home from swimming practice, and I bumped into these friends of mine, and they were like, "Oh, someone's looking for a kid who can swim." And then the next day I was doing a commercial because this kid lied and said he could swim. Then the next day I was doing a commercial on television. And then a week later they were like, "Oh, we have a space in our venture for one person to go to the audition." And they were like, "We'll take you home after the first round when you get kicked out." And I was like, why didn't I just get it?
Yeah.
And then, the next thing, my life changed.
Tell us about the part. I mean, I've seen Les Miserables, but I must admit I don't know the part.
You pronounce it so well.
Yeah.
Gavroche is the little guy who runs around collecting bullets in the army.
Yes,
and he's this little strong, little nippy little kid who actually goes into but he ends up dying. So there was a little rascal like I was at that age, and it was a fun experience. Got to see different countries and meet many people.
Yeah, I mean, what's life like as a very young kid in an adult world, dealing with things that adults may find difficult? I mean, maybe it's easier as a kid, where am I today? This is all exciting. No jet lag. Maybe it's easier to do when you're younger.
Yeah, I think it was just an experience, like a fun experience, meeting different people, doing what I love, playing a part. It was incredible. It changed my life, the trajectory of my life. And I think it's made me the man I am today. I can jump on a motorbike like I came on here now.
Yeah.
And then I came from pole dancing. It's made me quite eclectic and not trying to fit in any mold, and thank goodness the theatre and the arts.
Are you ever still and quiet? I mean, you've just described a little microcosm, pole dancing on your motorbike. You dash here, you're going somewhere else.
Yes.
I believe as soon as you're done with us, joining people to break fast. Is Sivuyile Ngesi ever still quiet?
I'm actually a lot more introverted than people imagine. I'm
Yes.
quite an extroverted introvert. I love my own time. I love sitting alone and just being able to absorb and regenerate. But the older I get, the more I take more time just to be alone, and it's actually some of my favorite time.
Yeah, you've packed a lot into life, and presumably that's not going to stop it. Let's go back a little bit. You mentioned your mom, Jacqueline, a school teacher, school principal, something she did for many, many years. What was it like having a school teacher as a mom? Was she school teacherish at home?
I hated it during the time, and now I look back, and it's one of the best gifts I'd ever had put upon me. Discipline, and discipline. And I think people don't realize that the easiest way to get to happiness and success is discipline, and it's actually not hard work.
So take us around the dinner table in Gugulethu where you grew up. There's your mom, there's your dad who worked in housing in some way. You can tell us a little bit about that if you like. And two older sisters. How much older? Were you five around the
about
table?
13 years older than me, and then my other sister's 4 years older than me.
Okay. So sometimes 4, sometimes 5 around the table. Take us there. Lots of conversation.
It's so funny. You just described a family that wasn't mine. We never sat around any dinner table.
Okay,
you took your food, sat in front of the television or whatever, which is something that I would definitely want to change when I do have kids, to be able to sit around a dinner table. But my mother was quite great at teaching lessons and analogies, and she was just an incredible mother. I lost her 11th of August 2022.
Condolences.
Which was just the most dreadful time of my life, which I don't think society talks enough about grief. But it was the greatest 37 years of my life. So
you watching the TV. Who's got the remote?
There was in my house, the adults had the remotes, but I was treated quite special growing up. My family knew I was different, which got me a lot of beatings, and my sisters running around the house chasing me. But they knew that I was a creative, and they tried to feed me as much content as possible that would help me to be a creative. So a lot of the times I did have the remote, but I was always playing outside or watching television or whatever.
So how are you going through your school years and you've said it a few times, a different kid, a very creative kid. The South African education system is not necessarily renowned as being a hothouse for creativity. Was school difficult, or did you find the channels and the little rivulets where you could float and flow?
I think I was fortunate enough to have been great at sport.
Yes.
So they definitely did. I was great at sport, average student, great at drama. So that obviously the sport, they turned a blind eye and let me do what I wanted to do, they definitely did turn a blind eye to a couple of things that I did. I was a prefect, but I was first team rugby. I was first team rugby captain. I was first team rugby water polo captain. I played Western Province water polo. I did a lot of things out there that were quite out there, and I think a lot of people did accept. He's different. He's different, and I think that's why I'm able to jump on a motorbike after pole dancing and still go to boxing and still play rugby. And that's really helped me. And my high school, which is Pylands High, really did help me be able to be this eccentric individual.
I need to come back to the dinner table just for a minute because we asked you to pick a dish, sheep's head. Special treat, something you had regularly. Put it in context for me.
So one of my biggest influences was my grandfather.
Right.
Treated me like an adult, treated me like I was definitely special. I spoke English. He spoke like the king and the queen's English.
Right.
Sat around about every Saturday, and he had no teeth, but we would take down sheep head like together, and it brings back childhood memories. Being able to get the tongue section and the eye socket and the brains just reminds me of my childhood. And we had nothing. But we definitely were rich in love, in culture, and in self-belief.
One part of education, whether it comes through the school or not, is obviously books. Before we talk about the book you've selected, Siv, tell us about books in your life. Were there books at home, or were you accessing them through libraries? By the way, I'm assuming that you got knowledge about books from books. Some people get them from people like your grandfather, perhaps, who read books.
I wish I liked reading. I really wish I did. I struggle with reading. I really do. And my mother really tried her utmost best to really instill reading into us. And me, I love motivational books. I love acting books, which I can consume as much as possible. I struggle with like fiction or that kind of stuff. But what I really, really enjoy consuming content I've started this weird thing now of watching all my content with subtitles on.
Yes.
Even if it's not subtitles.
I do the same thing.
Who gave me that note?
Yeah.
Musi Mamani's wife, because I called her because she taught English, and I said, Natalie, she's a very good friend of mine. I said, Natalie, I'm trying to improve my reading, and she was like, friend, subtitles while you watch content. It's helped me immensely.
Yeah, okay.
It's been 2 weeks.
Mine might be, getting a little hard of hearing, having spent the last 26 years with headphones on. I want to ask you then about your book, Outliers. Is that you the Outlier as well. It's the Malcom Gladwell book. Many people would know it. It's been around for a while, 2008 published.
I'm fascinated about what makes people special.
Yeah.
I really am fascinated about what makes people excellent, what makes people outliers, what makes people different to others. I think the world likes to sometimes put a lot of responsibility on hard work, but there's a lot of things about luck, where you were born, who you were born to, what time of the year you were born to. All of those things do play a big role, and I love that kind of stuff. So for me, I ate that book up, and I love his content and his way of thinking.
Music, creative kid, creative adult. Can you sing? Are you a good singer?
Yeah, I can hold a note. I love karaoke. I can definitely sing. I've done a couple of musicals, and I've done a musical film here and there. I would love to get back into musicals, but they don't pay. It's slavery out there,
and it's very, very intense while you're up there. But you learned that at a very young age. You picked Boys to Men, Song for Mama. Out of all the music you must have heard, listened to, and loved, why that?
It's not my favorite song, but it's definitely the one that I played as I walked up to give a speech at my mother's funeral. The greatest woman I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. Continuously struggling. It's been about 7 months without her, and this for me hits the note on the head of I'm honored to be one of only 3 people to know the beat of how it beat from the inside.
Well, as we play the song again, condolences and good luck in your journey of grief, as you say. We don't talk about it enough. Maybe we'll have that conversation on another occasion. But Sivuyile Ngesi, thank you so much for sharing with us on 702 Drive your song, your book, and your dish. Boys to Men, this one's a classic.
I love you, Mom.
When skies were gray, whenever I was down, you were always there to comfort me. And no one else can be what you have been to me. You will always be. You will